Good morning. My name
Morning.
is Sarah Gergel, and I work with the Living Archives project where we are collecting stories of how COVID-19 impacted various communities in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. Today is November 8th, 2022, and this week there were 140 reported cases of COVID-19 in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg County area, which shows a steady average over the last 2 weeks. Therefore, Veronica is comfortable not wearing a mask. However, today I am wearing a mask. Veronica, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Veronica Garcia. I've been living in Charlotte for, I think, almost 20 years.
Wow.
I think I lost count.
That's a long time. That's amazing.
Yes.
So you moved to Charlotte around 20 years ago. Where did you move from?
California, San Francisco.
Okay. And what was that transition like for you?
It was quite big. It was a huge 360, I'd say.
Yeah.
I was living with my mom and my brothers. I was 19 back then. And the weather, everything is quite different over there.
Oh, yeah.
Atmosphere, everything. Too many trees here, I'd say, when I came. I said, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Allergies hit. And then the weather. Back then in 2003 was when I moved. It was humid. So we still have humidity back then.
Yeah.
Glad it's gone.
Here, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the big transition. And
Yeah.
coming to be an adult, learning so many other things, basically my adulthood here in North Carolina.
I mean, dry heat in California versus humidity here in Charlotte. I mean, that's a huge thing to get used to.
Yeah.
You know, so, power to you, Veronica. So tell us, you are a mother, is that correct?
Yes.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
Wow, that's amazing. What are their ages?
My oldest, almost 14. My daughter, 11. My other son, 6. And the youngest is almost 5.
Wow, that's a really great age. Do you feel like it's a little overwhelming sometimes?
Yes. I'm not going to lie about it, yes.
And then tell me, what do you do for work, Veronica?
I've been on and off because of
Kids.
COVID, childcare,
Yes.
especially childcare, their ages. For now, I recently, more stable, a month ago actually, exactly,
Okay.
I started working as a registered behavioral technician,
Wow, that's amazing.
giving therapy to kids that have autism.
Okay. What is that like if people don't know?
Oh, that's basically there could be different settings. My setting is at home. I go to the patient's home and give them therapy.
Okay.
It could be at a school or an actual office setting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing that for about a month.
A month. I've done it before,
Okay.
but it was on and off.
Yeah.
I was a behavioral tech, and then I continued my studying, did my test, and I became an RBT. So now I don't have any interruptions. Kids are all in school.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, because when COVID happened, I feel like the kids were just so impacted by the instability of the unknown. Will they go to school? They're out of school. They're virtual school. They're hybrid. Like, what was that like for you?
It was crazy because the little ones, and we were here at the preschool. My 6-year-old boy, he needed help, obviously, at home, getting it all set up virtually. And the older kids, I had to go and check on them. I said, are you in class? Did you get in class? Make sure you're not eating. The whole just bothering them, basically. But it's just monitoring, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it was a bit overwhelming because I had to deal with 2 different personalities for my older kids. One would be like, oh, my goodness, I have to be on task.
Yeah.
And she's like, A's, B's, and then the other one struggles a little bit more, but he was not a good test taker and just feeling like it was stressful. So they both had anxiety coming from COVID and doing hybrid.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Did you find that your kids really struggled with also just the social aspect of not being to interact with their friends and kind of just leave the house for a season?
Especially the oldest. He's very social.
Yeah.
And the younger one, not so much. She likes to be more, in her room, maybe as long as she talks to her friends over the phone or any social media platform or anything, she would be okay. No. But yeah, they wanted to go back. As soon as they gave the green light to have the kids go back to school, even though they would have to wear a mask, they were like, yes, I'm going back. I'm not staying home, Mom. And I said, okay, well, please take care of yourself, wear that mask, and be careful. I went through a phase of being overprotective, I guess. And then after a while, I kind of I think we all did. We all went through phases where we're so fearful, we almost thought it was going to be the end of the world. And then we go through phases where, okay, let's protect ourselves. And
100%.
so I think that was the challenge with most parents. We had to kind of help our kids with their emotions and let them know, especially since they were older, I had to let them know this is what's happening around the world. And we're going to have to do things different now. And don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. And just have faith, have faith. And I come from a religious background. I'm not that religious as my mom is, but I told them, hopefully we'll get through this. God is going to help.
So your faith really helped you through the process.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It's very common when we're struggling, who do we turn to, right? And so lots of people turn to their faith or to specific people in their lives. In terms of support, did you feel like, was your husband at home with you during that season, or were you kind of just homeschooling, not homeschooling, but virtually schooling all the kids by yourself?
It changed for a while. At some time he was working. He was like, I'm fine for now. So he was going to work. And then, but for the most part, I was the one that was dealing with all that manic, crazy times at home.
I can't imagine. What was when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, we have one person in the bedroom, another person in the living room, the other person in the dining room. Was that similar to you?
Yes, Yeah, there's no other way. And thank God we had the space. Yeah.
What was it like? Were you guys able to were you able to get the kids active somehow?
Yeah, I had to. Well, my kids have always been like that, where I go out and play with them. Thank God we have a home. We have the space in the backyard. We have a playground, trampoline. So, but because of COVID, I said, get out of the house. We're going to go. I felt like I was playing preschool or just somebody to have them entertained. Get outside. Let's go play this. Let's go play ball. Let's go do this. Just get them moving. Yeah. And just make it fun for them. Let's do movie night. Let's play board games. Let's do this. X, Y, and Z. Anything. Yeah.
So how long did you feel like it was very just you and the kids? How long was that for you?
It felt really long. It felt long. I went through the phase that... emotional phases too, where I was drained. And after a while, I think I accepted it and just tried to make the best of it. Basically the stuff I just told you, and just for them and for my sanity too. I just didn't take care of that much of the house anymore. I was like, okay, if I get to do chores, good. It doesn't matter how many I get to do. Let's have fun. You guys are finished with your online class. Okay, let's go do this, do that.
Yeah.
Anything just to make it enjoyable.
Yeah. For sure. What was self-care like for you as a mom of 4? I mean, that can be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. No, just the basics, as long as I shower. That's all that really mattered back then. And then you can wear whatever you want. You didn't go out. Everything was closed. So no big deal. It was fine.
Okay.
It was fine. We missed the park though. I'm that kind of mom that takes her kids like once or twice a week to the park. So once we heard the parks were open, I was just ready to take them out. Even though we do have a backyard, but the kids are used to a different setting, the sandbox, which I'm not going to put one in my house. So we missed that. very much.
I bet.
Yeah.
So once all of, the restrictions were lifted in a sense, and that you said the older kids were really excited to go back to school. What was that transition like for the kids? Like from the oldest all the way to the youngest? How did you feel they responded?
They were fine with it. Yeah, they were all fine with it. Yeah.
Good.
Everyone in my house, including everyone, my husband and the kids, I think they catched on to our personality. We're social. We like to be out there, hang out with friends, so they were ready for it.
Yeah.
They were ready for it. They wanted to see other faces. I think they didn't want to see each other anymore.
Yeah. And tell me one more time, your youngest, how old was he kind of when the pandemic first hit? So that was like 2020, early 2020?
My youngest?
Your youngest.
It's a girl. What was she? It was 2020?
Yeah, when it came to North Carolina.
She might have been like 2.5,
Okay.
maybe 3.
She was little.
Yeah, she's February 19 to 1918. Yeah.
So what was her transition
Yeah.
like going back into when you introduced her into preschool?
Yeah.
How was like that for her? Because especially when they're so young and they had to isolate at home, I find that a lot of kids struggled with getting back into connecting with other little kids and knowing how to respond in a social environment.
She was fine because she only saw her brother going through doing virtual classes and everything. So she wasn't in school, obviously. Right now she's in pre-K. She only had 1 year here in this school. And so for her, it was fine. I think she had to get used to the mask, going to school every day wearing the mask, and just all these protocols of distancing and washing your hands much more often, just everything. Basically, she experienced school during COVID, her very first year of school.
Man. Well, I'm glad she transitioned well.
Yeah, I am too. I can't believe all these kids have just adjusted to that being that norm.
Yeah.
Which is,
For sure.
it's amazing. So little, and she just, obviously at times she wanted to take it off, but as time went by, she got used to it and just would wear it all the time. And I try to make it fun. The ones that have their cloth and different colors, different prints.
Aww, that's awesome. So they kind of get excited because they get to choose, I want that mask today.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great way to get them excited about something instead of the opposite.
Yeah. Hey, you can pick what color you want. Which one do you want? Oh, I want the green one. I want the pink one. Okay, go for it. Just wear your mask. Yeah.
And so tell me about you. What was your transition like over the last 2 years? How did your life change?
He went through different phases. First, I'm going to keep it short though. I literally, when I went to the store, I think the first time, and I think they said, I don't remember where exactly, but they were like, if you go to the store, make sure you don't take the kids. It's better. They're going to be touching everywhere. So it was just me. I was the one going to the store most of the time, getting groceries, whatever I needed. So just the first time wearing that mask and being out, I got anxiety. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was like, we cannot be doing this. Like, I just felt like I couldn't believe it that we were going to have to be like that. And being out in the stores, being everywhere, I associated wearing a mask with like you being sick. You see that at the doctors. When you go to the doctors back then, that's what it meant. So I was like, or protecting. I know it's protecting. The doctors worried to protect themselves. But I just felt like, is there something wrong with me? Am I sick? Do I have the cooties, like the kids would say? Yeah. So I had to tell myself, it's okay. Give myself therapy, deep breaths, relax. Yeah. Just get your groceries and get out. And then, I went through the phase where I was scared. I was like, why am I telling my kids that everything's going to be okay if I don't know if it's really going to be okay? And I'm just crossing my fingers. We hope we don't get sick. Just really, really sick and have to end up in the hospital and die. So my mind went through that, and I had to keep it together. So So yeah, after a while, I got used to it and noticed that I don't know. I just had faith. I would read books and get distracted and not hear the watch TV all that much, and I didn't want to. After a while, it was so much information, and it was it's a lot. It was bombarding a lot, and just hearing the numbers of like how many people are infected, or even how many have already passed away or in the hospital. It was just like, and even doubting, like, are these numbers true? Okay, I'm just gonna stop watching and just have faith, pray, take care of my own family, and just one day at a time. And it did hit us, actually. We did get COVID.
Yeah.
I was the first one in the house that got it. I remember this one Tuesday afternoon, I will never forget, February. And I had to leave work. So, obviously I was at someone's house, and I said, I'm not feeling good. My stomach is turning. I drove myself back home, feeling nauseous. Got home, literally vomited. It was like just nausea and vomiting. And then I couldn't get out of bed, and I basically stayed in bed. I had somebody bring my kids. They were watching them. And 2-3 days later, I did the test.
Yeah.
And that's when I found out that I was positive. And I stayed home, I think, like, in bed. I don't know. It was a very long time.
Yeah.
And my husband worked maybe the first days. And then after that, he stayed home and watched the kids, did everything. Took food in my room, fed them, cleaned the house, everything. Just...
Did the rest of the family get it too?
I think the little kids got it like for a night, because they were hot. They had temperature.
Yeah.
And then after that, they were fine.
Oh,
I didn't see any more symptoms at all. And the older ones, I think so too, but they never got tested, and they were fine.
Oh, good.
And then I found out as time went by a little bit after that, my husband had it. I remember, I'm like, oh, you were sick. Remember this day you were feeling like this? Okay, you gave it to me. He's like, yeah, I might have been COVID, but I just did the test and it's negative. So I'm like, well, it's now out of your system, but I'm pretty sure you gave it to me.
Yeah.
But I think that was the moment that I feel like I wrote here. It gave me a different perspective, respect for life, a lot, because I went through the thoughts of like, okay, I'm getting worse. I'm not getting better. This is not normal. What's going on? I've heard this. After a while, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, I was just waiting for that next symptom.
Mm.
I did get them, but it went slowly. The taste, I think my taste buds was the last symptom I had. But body aches, horrible body aches.
Oh, man.
Horrible. It's just, and it made me just think, I'm like, I don't know, it messes with your mind. I thought I was going to die. And then, and I had to like get up and just at least shower and go back into the bed. It's for the sake of the kids. Don't get out of the room.
Yeah.
And we made it very strict for the kids. Obviously, they wanted mommy. I want to go in. I want to see you.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Mommy's sick. We don't want you to get sick.
Yeah.
So that was a hard one too.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Especially because you were the stable, everyday parent. Not that
Yes.
your husband wasn't,
Yeah.
but you were the one interacting day in and day out. And so quarantining yourself. I mean, man.
Yeah.
That must have been
I miss chores. It was crazy. I'm like, why do I miss it? I would never miss it. So I kind of told myself, okay, take this as a vacation, even though you would never want to do it this way. But just take it as I'm like, hey, you're going to chill. You're going to rest. Your body needs it. And, but yeah, I was like, I missed my chores. I had to let go too. I was like, it's just daddy, help your dad. I would tell the older kids, help dad, please, whatever he needs.
Yeah.
And he told me everything was fine. I kind of heard a glimpse. I would go to sleep. I had, my body was aching so bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had any long-lasting symptoms from COVID, or were you okay after?
Like feeling like this fog.
Okay.
Yeah, like out of balance. Like, I don't know how to explain it because everything else, from what I remember, was fine. I got my taste buds back. Yeah, I almost forgot all the other symptoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole nauseous, vomiting
Yeah.
was gone. But I think mostly it was like sometimes my body would hurt, but it was more like the fog, just feeling like brain fog.
Do you feel like you still experience that brain fog sometimes?
No.
Or is it gone now?
I think it's gone, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. So you feel like you're completely
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So you mentioned that you were working at the time when you got COVID.
Yes.
What were you doing?
The behavioral tech, yeah,
tech.
therapy.
Okay.
Therapy at home.
Okay. So what
for
was
this kid.
that like during these last few years? What was work like for you?
Oh, well, making sure I cleaned my hands when I got there, when I left. What do I touch? What do I not touch? How close do I get to this child? Wearing my mask, maybe even wearing two masks. Just being very careful. And then after I had to obviously tell my employer that I had COVID, I couldn't go anywhere. And she was like, okay, test yourself. And she just wanted to protect the other family too, make sure they didn't get anything, notify them.
Yeah.
And I had to obviously get tested again to be able to go back to work, make sure that I didn't have it.
I'm just thinking, like, if you work in people's homes, like you do home therapy,
Yes.
that's really the unknown of.
Yeah.
That must have been very, like, a little bit anxiety coming from.
Yes.
That. Yeah.
Yes. Very much.
Were the families that you were working with, do you feel like they were very overprotective of their kids as well, or do you feel like they kind of were very comfortable inviting you in?
I think they were comfortable. They were okay. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you didn't have any, like, issues in terms of being told, no, you can't come into the house?
No.
Or things like that?
No.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So before we started the interview, we did this little activity together,
Yes.
the hand map, which you did refer to it once. But is there anything on your hand map that kind of stood out to you that you would like to share with us?
Let me see.
Whatever you want to share.
Yeah, well, let's see. COVID was life-changing and scared. I was scared about it. Gave me a different perspective, respect for life. For life in itself, like that you take it for granted, that sometimes you don't understand how you can be here. I could be here right now and then later I'm gone. I mean, we don't know when, like actually take it serious.
Yeah.
And how health is so important, what we eat, what we do, exercise, just being more hygienic, washing hands and all that stuff, how for everyone, not only our kids, and respect for like the elder, it just, it made me think about that very much during that time. Yeah, and I wrote here friends, husband, and God. I think those were my support, my help during those times. And obviously other things, I'd read books or journal, just get my mind to like, just, I don't know, distracted, settle down, more peaceful, because I couldn't go to the gym anymore either. So I was used to my other activities or hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, you're used to your normal routine.
Yes. No more partying. We're a family of always, not always, but socializing. Couldn't have that gathering. So that was a big one too.
Do you feel like now you guys are able to get back into that?
Yeah.
More social and gather with friends and family?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Obviously, we're still, we're not 100% feel safe because there's always something's going on. My kids just recently, the last week of October, they actually got sick. They had that thing called croup, cough, horse-like, dog-like, I don't know what they call it. So that was scary too. But yeah, I'm just, every time they get home from school, since they're interacting with so many other kids, touching everywhere, get home, take off your shoes, go wash your hands, don't touch anything, especially don't eat. So they're used to mom telling them that all the time.
I bet.
But yeah.
So I know you did mention to me that you moved from California a while ago, but before then, you mentioned that you came from a different country. What country did you come from?
I'm from Mexico.
From Mexico. So do you still have family in Mexico?
Most of my family is in California. I have my youngest brother in Mexico
Okay.
with his wife and his kids.
Okay.
And then I have an aunt from my mom's side with all her family, including grandchildren.
Yeah.
But that's basically it. Everyone else from my mom's side of the family is in California.
Okay. I was gonna ask, during the pandemic and your experience here, were you kind of still connected to your family in Mexico, and what was their experience like in comparison?
My brother, because I don't speak to my aunt because she's older and it's never been me talking to her. It's always, so my brother basically, he would tell me like how it was, the experience, how available the vaccines were, even testing. So he told me about his experience, kind of what he was going through over there.
Was there anything that kind of like stuck out to you from his experience?
The whole thing, everything, how unavailable things were. So they weren't in arm's reach at all. And some things they had to I remember exactly. I think he said the testing he had to pay for, even in California, was different compared to North Carolina. So I felt blessed. I'm like, what? You don't have access to this? You don't have access to that? And I had it. So I was like, oof, I'm blessed. I'm good,
California was one of the hardest hit states. So what was that like, your family being there?
Yeah. It was scary because I said the population is way more than here. So I feared my family getting COVID. My mom, she's got so many illnesses, so I was scared to get a phone call and just telling me that she was hospitalized or anything like that. Thank God she did get COVID, but she got through it and she took care of herself, and she's a fighter big time. Yeah. She told me, she's like, I got it. She's like, I'm like, you have it? She's like, no, I got over it already. I just didn't want to tell you when I had it. I'm like, Mom, we don't talk that often. Maybe like once a week or every 2 weeks.
She didn't want to worry you.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, but I got through it, so I'm good. And I actually, a year ago, I went to visit to California, and I hadn't traveled in, I don't know how many years. Oh my goodness, I hadn't traveled in like 15 years to California because my excuse was one child after another. So I took my two younger little girls, and so that was big for them, getting on the airplane for the first time, and COVID, wearing their mask, all the restrictions, and just we were like, okay, hopefully we're good, and we don't get anything because we're traveling to a state that is way more populated, and their restrictions were still more implemented than here in North Carolina. My mom was impressed that she came a few months ago here, and she was like, everybody's socializing and you rarely see people with masks, and so.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine night and day differences, for sure. Was there anything that you kind of gained over the last 2-3 years?
Well, I think I said them. Yeah, I think some of the stuff, like just a different perspective about life, and in general, just more knowledge, I'd say, about like how to like take care of yourself, just to prevent any sort of, I don't know, infection, disease, just be more conscious, and especially what we eat. So I feel like I gained that knowledge. I think I took a life more serious, so.
You feel like your lifestyle kind of changed a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. What, if you could sum it up and tell us just a few changes that you made, what would those be?
I'd say just being active.
Okay.
like with the kids, having them do all sorts of exercise through play, even for myself, for them, more than usual that we used to do, and like what we eat, basically just not give in to what my kids normally want to eat. So I'm just like, hey, we're gonna have this, changing like the starchy pasta to like more to a vegetable pasta. You know, they have that. So yeah, so they didn't even notice, or even making smoothies,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't even notice. You know, I didn't have to talk to them about it. I just implemented it and just started doing it,
That's
and
awesome.
just keeping that where let's wash our hands when we get home.
Yes.
Okay, let's wash our hands, and yeah,
know
keeping their hands to themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, because at that age, you know,
my
6 and
gosh.
almost 5 is like,
When they all get sick, all those cooties spread.
yes, yes.
Oh man. Well, you know, to just honor you, Veronica, and respect your time, I'm just gonna follow up with one more question. And do you have any additional stories or experiences that you would like to share with us before we end?
I don't think so. I think, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your story
Sure.
with us.
Thank you.